I'm here with Rishi Israni from Zimplistic. How you doing, man?
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. Smart Kitchen Summit, been treating you good? Having a good time?
Yes, I'm having a good time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Zimplistic, what's the overall pitch of what the company does?
So we are solving a millennial problem of making rotis.
Okay.
And 3 billion of these are made every day. And for the first time ever, we are automating it with Rotimatic, which from flour and water at the click of a button makes it end-to-end in 90 seconds.
I love it, and we talked about this off camera. I love roti, and obviously a huge chunk of the world loves roti, and this is, you know, a quick way to make it, and you, like you said, it's one button, right?
One button.
Yeah. And what kind of, it's just flour and water?
It's just flour and water and a drop of oil.
Okay, that's the extra ingredient.
Just a little bit.
But that's all it takes to make it. And so this actually came up in a podcast that I do, is that Michael and I were talking about, I wanted a robot to make all my meal, right? And he goes, well, that's not here yet. Do you want that too?
Yeah, of course.
And he mentioned your product, and he said, I think what is more likely to happen is these little, small, individual robots that make different things that are specialized. Did you see that being the way of the future of the kitchen?
I think in the short term, near future, absolutely. You know, if you look at various different disciplines like artificial intelligence or robotics, we are as mature as maybe a young 3-year-old child. We are not very, very far ahead in technology. And what I see practical in the short term is single purpose machines doing one or a few things really, really well, and a set of them coming together to put a full meal.
Right. So you might have a few different, in quotes, robots that make their thing really, really well, and then we put it together and we have a great meal.
Yeah.
Like roti goes with anything. Chicken tikka masala, let's just say that.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Wraps and
So let's just say, do you think the kitchen, this comes up a lot in this discussion of like different types of devices in the kitchen, do you think the kitchen will actually get smaller? Like, will there be less of a need for these big ovens, these big appliances?
I think the kitchen will it is getting smaller, and people are cooking less and less. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll continue to get smaller if the innovation on the appliance side doesn't catch up. So our appliances we haven't disrupted the kitchen tech in a long time. And if that continues to happen, the focus of preparing food in the kitchen will move from the kitchen in the home to the kitchen in the restaurant.
Right.
Which is not the greatest move that's happening. So kitchen tech needs to reinvent or disrupt.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, it's definitely early stages for robotics and AI, and then mixing them together with kitchen products.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at single-purpose robotics, if you look at general-purpose robotics, where we've tried to emulate human beings, so you'll see robots that have 2 hands and a gripper that looks like a human hand.
Yeah.
I feel that future is a little bit far away because technology really isn't there to be as dexterous or as intelligent as a human being.
Yeah, although those cow robots, those weird like pack animal robots, have you seen them? They look pretty uncanny.
Yeah, they do.
But that's for another thing.
Yeah.
So are you working on other types of robots and food things for the kitchen?
So our immediate focus is to conquer the flatbread market.
Okay.
And the flatbread world is not just the 3 billion rotis that are made every day by hand, but also the tortilla world, the pizza world, the wrap world. And we think flatbread, if it could be made fresh and healthy, there is nothing like it. So current focus is to evolve the Rotimatic software to go wide on the flatbread market.
I love the idea of tortillas. I'm a big taco person. I love corn tortillas. And again, when you can do that, it's a mixture of the robot part and the mechanical part with the fresh ingredients. Absolutely. And then you do have the not fast food stuff. You have the stuff that you cooked at home, but you have assistance essentially.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And so how far are you in the kind of looking at the other types of wraps and tortillas and stuff?
So it's not as much of a technology challenge as it is a marketing challenge.
Right.
So for example, if you look at, we have a 15,000 people strong community on Facebook called Rotimatic Owners. If you browse there, most of the flatbreads that I'm talking about, people have hacked Rotimatic and made them. So clearly it is possible to make tortillas or pizza bases we do support now, and various other types of bread. People are adding, our customers are adding protein powder, various other ingredients in flour to make it healthier and more versatile.
Right.
So there are a few hundred recipes that are launched by our users every month.
And are you doing anything to aggregate them or kind of put them back out?
We are trying to aggregate them, and then you can browse them on our app, but essentially they're user-created recipes.
Oh, right.
And tortillas are being made already.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's basically like you listen to the consumer and then you kind of go that way, right? So if you see more people just doing corn tortillas, then you're like, well, maybe that's our next device.
It's actually the way Rotimatic is designed, that it's a platform for flatbread.
Right.
So it's not a new device. It's like a new software upgrade.
Right. Yeah, and that's great because it's already there and you're just adding to it.
Yeah. So the bulk of the challenge is always around getting the right flour and water mixture. So you cannot know ahead of time how much of flour to take and how much of water to, because this proportion varies. And for tortilla it's different. For tortilla, depending on what the user has mixed, it's different. So there is an infinite variety of this combination.
Right.
So the magic of Rotimatic is its learning ability, where it figures out what's the right proportion, what's the right time to mix. This is where the magic lies, and allows us to make any type of flatbread.
Right. Yeah. No, that's amazing, and the fact that it's Rotimatic, Roti's just part of it. It really is about that kind of like, what can we do with this infinite amount of choices? And this is the device that will help get there.
Absolutely.
And make the things. That's awesome. So my final question for you is, when you look at the future kitchen, you think of all these different devices, do we see it as, it's so tricky because there's multiple ecosystems, there's multiple devices. Do they talk to each other? Will Rotimatic talk to a recipe maker? Will it work on, Amazon to get, fresh ingredients? Do we think all of them need to talk together, or do you see that as a future where the devices are communicating?
Yeah. So when I look at the food journey today, I have seen it. I have seen the changes between my parents' generation, my generation, and now we have people who work for us who are maybe a generation younger than me, and I have seen that there is a knowledge gap, less understanding and skill of what to eat and how to make it, to the execution gap, where you need to buy the ingredients, you need to prepare them, and you have to choose between time on Facebook and time in the kitchen. So in my mind, the right solution would have to be a more broad solution that would connect the knowledge gap. So figuring out for your body type, for your family, for your age, for your needs, what do you need to eat?
Right.
Then link it up with the supply chain, so which is either ordering from Amazon and hopefully in the right quantities and the right configuration so you don't waste food. And then the next step is having a set of devices that will leverage on this integration and deliver the meal for you.
Right.
I mean, this is the utopian ideal state, and I think till we don't reach this, we will not be able to solve some of the bigger problems in the food chain in our world.
And I think education's huge. Like you said, there's just a bunch of young generation who don't know even how to do the certain meals, right? I grew up and I had to do everything, by hand, and I'm sure you did too. And young people being educated is important, and then having those devices that can help them.
But you see, I am a little bit worse off than my parents' generation.
Right.
They can do more with food than I can.
Yeah.
And it's in a downward spiral, at least as far as from where I see it.
Right. It almost becomes then in that kind of utopia. The education's huge, but then once that education's done, the new robotic or smart devices are just the devices. They're just like what you have in the kitchen, and it doesn't become an unusual thing, right? I have a Rotimatic, you have a Rotimatic,
yeah,
of course.
So Rotimatic is one example. Where so the term we use in Zimplistic is that for us to be in a world where people would eat healthy, you have to marry not just convenience. Today we are used to one-click convenience. So you have to marry one-click convenience with control.
Right.
We're getting more and more educated. We want to know where our food's coming from, what are we eating, even though we don't want to participate in making the food, but we want to know all about it and control as much as of that we want. So if you could marry these two, and if you could have devices that marry these two, that'll define the world that we like to see going in the direction of the new kitchen.
Right. That sounds good. My last question is this. When is like a robot, humanoid robot, going to come into you're in the kitchen, he's like, I will cook you your meal. Is that going to happen? Are we not going to ever get there? Or do we even want it?
I think the kitchen is going to be autonomous, which is but I feel that that is not how it's going to shape up. Where
Right.
you will see a humanoid robot.
It's more in the devices, not the person.
Yeah, because I think we are trying to fit a human figure, human form, and make a robot out of it, and fit this particular robot in a kitchen that's designed for human beings.
Right.
And you know what? Human beings are not willing to go into the kitchen on a regular basis. They want to be optional in the kitchen and not mandatory. And I think if you could redesign the kitchen up for these new devices instead of human beings, you wouldn't need those form
Yeah.
factors, and you
Yeah.
would have a future much sooner, much cheaper, and more practical. So I feel the world is probably going to evolve into a non-humanoid kitchen assistant and a
Right.
set of machines that are robotic and automatic enough, working together.
Smart enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here and talking. Zimplistic and the Rotimatic, check it out. What's their website to get the Rotimatic?
Rotimatic.com.
That's easy enough.
That's easy enough.
And
One place to go.
One button, one website click, and also there's not going to be this. We've decided.
Know this.
Know this. It's not happening.
Not so soon.
All right. Later.
Thank you.